If you wanted to make a football game, you'd probably do something like this. Start with a pitch, and then add players, a ball, some goalposts, maybe even a stadium with a crowd, and a top-down camera, and of course things like passing and scoring and headers and throw-ins. And then you'd pretty much end up with something like FIFA, which is a very faithful recreation of football.
Or is it?
It definitely captures the feeling of spectating a football game. When you put gameplay footage up against a real televised football match, it's actually pretty hard to tell them apart. Most of the time. And because you're playing from a bird's eye view, the game puts a lot of focus on the teamwork part of football. You do a lot of passing and repositioning, and teamwork is obviously a major part of playing football well. But it's far from the full story, because as any novice player will be able to tell you, the hardest part of football isn't even the teamwork. The hardest part of football is controlling a ball with your foot. Feet are not the most nimble parts of your body, and while some people can do amazing things with them, in general, without any special practice or training, your feet are not really good for a lot. And that's what makes good football players so impressive. They have amazing control over such a clumsy appendage. And without that control, no amount of strategy or teamwork would really save them. In other words, football is fundamentally a physics-based game. And this aspect of football is something that FIFA almost completely ignores. And to be fair, you can see why. Human legs require a complicated sequence of muscle movements to walk, and so trying to simulate this in your game would add a whole bunch of chaos that overshadows everything else. However, you don't really need to simulate human legs. Rather, you only need to simulate a human foot. So, if you could turn the player into some kind of giant flying foot, then you could accurately capture the feeling of kicking a ball. So you'd need something roughly foot-shaped, long and narrow, but with a rounded end. And you'd need something that can travel forwards pretty fast, but that then needs to slow down a bit before it can make a sharp turn. And you need something that mostly stays on the ground, but sometimes lifts into the air. Basically, you need a rocket car. It ticks all the boxes. Check out that rounded bumper and that flat side. The cars in Rocket League are fully at the mercy of a physics simulation. In FIFA, you can press X to pass. But in Rocket League, it's not so simple because it really matters how you collide with the ball. The path it takes will depend on your car's speed, and angle, and relative position and rotation. And altering these factors even just a little bit can make the difference between a win or a loss. You can use the flip action to get a little bit of extra height or distance, and to tap the ball in just the right way to send it flying into the goal. You can also boost to quickly reposition yourself and to hit the ball with a massive amount of speed, at the cost of some control. Boosting even has a secondary function of letting you fly, so you can launch yourself right over your opponents and steal the ball from them before it even lands. And it's this physical aspect to the game that gives it such a high skill ceiling. A good Rocket League player can drive literal rings around a weaker player, and then in the very next game get their butt whooped by someone flying every which way on the walls and the ceiling. These more advanced maneuvers are extremely hard to control, but a real football is hard to control too. People aren't born with the ability to do keepy-ups or to make an accurate pass at high speed. These are skills that need to be trained, and the ability to constantly improve is a huge part of what makes football exciting. Of course, Rocket League isn't exactly like a football match. One key difference is that the matches have far fewer players, usually just 3 a side, and this means that each player needs to be a lot more nimble. And so to help with this, you can find pads that refill some of your boost power spread all over the pitch. And by refilling your boost, you can then get into position for a strike or an interception. And you'll also find extra powerful boost refills in the corners of the pitch, which often means you have to choose between fully refilling your boost or taking a shot at the ball. And this kind of thing doesn't happen in a real football game, of course. But what Rocket League does capture is the difficulty of controlling a ball with an unwieldy implement. And it therefore also captures the satisfaction that you can get from controlling that ball well. And so that's why, even though Rocket League is a game where you play as a jet-powered sports car, it still captures the feeling of playing with a football much more faithfully than any other game that I've tried before. But, you know, that's just what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments section whether I'm onto something or I've lost my marbles. Just be warned, every time somebody says soccer in the comments, I will make this face. I will be back with more game design and game development videos soon, including a progress report on my roguelike/Metroidvania game, Patch Quest. So be sure to ring the ding-a-ling and ping the bing-bong if you want to be notified. That's all for now, and as always, thanks for watching.